sorry about that. When it comes to gaming, it's always a fun outlet. We need to relax and let out some steam. Heck, I've been playing the first Halo lately, and the Angry Video Game Nerd video game at times. However, today's topic, when it comes to looking at Godzilla, because we've been doing a lot of that, are his video games that were released. So be aware, this one will be a long one. Probably, when it comes out, probably be like an hour. No idea. There'll be a lot of them from the 80s till now, on a variety of systems. So if you're hungry, you're thirsty, get your drinks, get your ice cold popcorn, get it ready, because we're gonna just drop right in. The first game that we're going to look at is Godzilla on Commodore 64. The game releasing in 1983. It was developed by Glenn Fisher and published by Codeworks. In the game, Godzilla is in the oceans near Japan. The military is using all its weapons to protect Tokyo for the upcoming attack. Looking back, the game is kind of charming, remembering it's Commodore, so not everything will look like, say, oh look, it's Godzilla, or look, it's Mothra. So yeah, not everything is going to be as detailed as, nowadays. Next game that would come out would be for the ZX Spectrum in 1984, called Godzilla and the Martians. And the thing to know about the ZX is that it used a keyboard and cassette tapes for the audio of the game. The game is kind of obscure, but the graphics for it are kind of cute, but at the same time, I'm not sure what you're supposed to do gameplay-wise. You get Godzilla versus three major monsters, and it was released on the MSX in 1984. This game was produced by Bandai. In the game, Godzilla's only weapon is his atomic breath, which can be aimed. Godzilla has 4 lives, which are depleted by either the enemies touching Godzilla, hitting Godzilla, and with their attacks, or Godzilla falling into a hole. The encounter enemies in the game include Megalon, who will dig holes in the ground and come up to the surface to get Godzilla. After defeating the enemies, Megalon, and all that, we eventually go to King Ghidorah. This is going to be a long one. Then in 1985, we would get Fierce Dragon Godzilla. Fierce Dragon Godzilla Metropolis Destruction. It's a long one. Released on both FM7 and the PCX1. Which at the time, the graphics look pretty good for it. And I'm going to be honest, I am really sorry about this. I wasn't able to find footage for this one. So, sorry about that. In 1986, we got a game called The Movie Monster Game for Apple II Commodore 64. Where you get to play as monsters from films like Stay Puft Marshmallow, Mothra, the Blob, the Transformers, and Godzilla himself. I kind of like this game. I haven't played it, and it would I feel like it would kind of influence future games like Rampage, but use, original monsters based around classic monsters. In 1986, we had a game called Monster Fair, which is geared around Mothra shooting at enemies in her lava form, eventually getting to her moth form and fighting King Ghidorah. it's you know how in the 8-bit era we would have games called shoot 'em ups. I think this one would just say you'd call it a cute 'em up, since the sprite designs are kind of cute. I think that Godzilla is one of the enemies. Perhaps he is one. Because, the enemy sprite animations for it are kind of chibi. The next one that would come out is a rather interesting one, being Godzilla Challenge 1 from 1987, which was a light gun-based game which uses footage from the films, and at certain times you would use the gun to shoot to make it look like the monsters took damage.
As such, the video quality is not very high. In the bottom of the screen are 3 sectors labeled LT, HT and EA. As soon as colored bars appear in these sectors, it means that the footage shown in the screen may interact with the gun.
Honestly, light games are cool, but if it's based around something already made, like a film, I don't think things can change, oh no, I missed. Unless they find in the future, aha! We're gonna have a game several years, and we have to make sure, what if Godzilla didn't move or attack? Or something like that. I don't know. That doesn't really make sense to me, figure-wise. In 1988, we would get Godzilla King of Monsters on Famicom and Nintendo. In North America, it came out on October 1989. In North America, it came out on October 1989. And the United Kingdom in 1991. In the game, you would travel on alien planets and go up against classic Godzilla monsters like Mothra, King Ghidorah, and others.
Here's Mecha Godzilla. Now that's what I'm talking about. Almost got him. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna beat Mecha Godzilla. That fucking time limit! That motherfucking shit-sucking time limit!
You can also play as Mothra, who can fly, but the game does have issues like a time limit and no replenishing your health. The first game that would come out for the 90s was Godzilla for Game Boy in 1990. It was a port of a game for the MSX. The plot of the game is that Godzilla's son, Nela, has been monster napped. He has to go save him. So the game is that you have to avoid the enemies while using a boxing glove fist as an attack. And get rid of all the boulders to go to the next room. Yeah, a lot of people would probably say, this is not right, this is not Godzilla. I'm gonna say, it's kind of cute. It's not it's not like the usual Godzilla games where it's boom, boom, boom. It's just plus it's for the Game Boy. You had to do what you could limitation-wise, I really think. Say, are you gonna have a Game Boy, you're gonna have a melee fighter, and you're gonna have a puzzle game or something like that. And I did mention the next game called Circus Caper, but Godzilla is kind of a cameo, so I don't really think that's really worth a mention. Say, hey, here's a game. Oh, Godzilla's barely in it. It's he's only there, a pixel on the screen for 5-10 seconds. In 1991, we got Godzilla 2, War of the Monsters for the NES. Compared to other games where Godzilla or others are fighting monsters destroying, it's a turn-based RPG.
When you go to battle mode, it sort of goes into an RPG style. You each take your turns attacking. Whether or not you hit or miss depends on the outcome of a slot machine. Yes, a fucking slot machine.
The player controls military forces trying to prevent Godzilla and other giant monsters such as Mothra, Ghidorah, Rodan, Baragon, and King Ghidorah. The music is kind of nice, but it would eventually probably get very annoying. Super Godzilla for SNES was released in Japan on December 23rd, 1993, and here in the States, released in July 1994. For this game, the gameplay is that like split, like you'd have two screens. You have to make sure, like, you don't smash into buildings, because, Godzilla is like a giant force of nature. He gets hurt from it. You fight enemies like Batra, Biollante, Mechagodzilla, Mecha King Ghidorah.
You get close to the enemy, you punch him, then you go back and hit L and R to choose an attack. They don't tell you that, do they? They don't tell you you're supposed to press L and fucking R.
The fights are sort of like, say, like, punch, 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 back, 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 punch, 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 back, back, back. Next there would be an arcade game just called Godzilla. That's a very basic name when it comes to that. Which seems like it would be like rather fun. It seems like this game would be rather fun. I need to go to more arcades. I really do. Next we would get Godzilla Battle Legends in 1993 and 1994 for the Turbo Duo. And judging by the gameplay, it seems like a rather fun game. It's a fighter game where you can fight Godzilla enemies like Rodan, Anguirus, Gigan, Megalon, Hedorah, and King Ghidorah. So compared to the past games, it's rather simple. Just fight the bad guys. So that's simple. It makes sense to me. It makes sense. Japan wouldn't get a few games during this time that wouldn't get, an American release, like Godzilla Archipelago Shock, and a Godzilla game for Game Gear that was only released in Japan. Godzilla Movie Studio is one strange game that was made for computers that came out in 1998, which is a rather interesting idea that you can watch behind the scenes of Godzilla films being made, like, like, say, the production folks, like, say, moving Mothra on wires, and when the actors for Godzilla just going. And I've also eventually get to watch, like, say, that little fight sequence by Mothra and Godzilla. Godzilla Online came out in 1998. The game was also developed by Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich, since the game is based around Godzilla 98. In the game, you play as soldiers trying to exterminate baby Godzillas who eventually get bigger if you don't stop them. There were two LCD games based around Godzilla 98. So we have the Tiger Electronic games for them, which growing we kind of accepted, like, as kids we like say, oh, this is cute, it's fun, time waster. But then we would, put them to the side and go, like, say, I'm gonna go play football or baseball or something. So like me saying this was gonna be a long one. Let's take a commercial break.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
In 1999, we got Godzilla, the series for Game Boy Color. A game that I had growing up, where you walk forward and use, like, atomic breath to shoot at things like tanks and others. If I can remember right, you only have a few hits before you fall down and go boom. The game would get a sequel for Game Boy Color that would come out the next year called Godzilla Monster Wars, with the same gameplay. Shoot your atomic fire at enemies, but this time they're monsters you can face. Then in 2002 and 2003, we would get the game that a lot of folks probably remember who are my age. We have Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee for both Xbox and GameCube. Oh my god! I'm probably dating myself right now. I didn't get to play this game growing up, but hot damn!
Concentrate fire on King Ghidorah.
I wish I had. The main point of the game was just to fight the monsters. Simple, right? Moving on to the Game Boy Advance, we have Godzilla Domination, which came out in 2002, which the game reminds me of Rampage, but with Godzilla, since you can throw buildings at your enemies, and as you go through levels, more enemies start to appear that you have to beat. Godzilla Save the Earth would come out in 2004 for all reasons, for both Xbox and PlayStation 2, which has the same gameplay as Destroy All Monsters, with new enemies including, monsters including Baragon, Jet Jaguar, Megagarus, Mothra, and Space Godzilla. The story involves mankind getting hold of Godzilla's DNA, known in the game as G-cells. The Vortech learn of this upon also returning to Earth, controlling a vast army of monsters, including their ultimate weapon, Space Godzilla. Yeah, I didn't get to play this one either. I might have been playing The Incredible Hulk on GameCube. Because here's the thing, when I was growing up, I didn't always get to, say, yeah, I'm gonna play this or that. Sometimes you had to wait for your birthday or Christmas to say, okay, I want this game, or perhaps you did good in school. During the years, Godzilla would also get games based around pachinko machines, which are arcade games but also frequently used to gamble with. Godzilla would move on to the PS2 and the Wii for one of the most poorly received Godzilla games of this series, being Godzilla Unleashed. Released in 2007 for PS2 and Wii in North America. Eventually released to other regions on both systems in 2008, but like the previous games, I didn't get to play this one growing up. I've even thought about, getting a copy of it. But all three of those games are extremely expensive. The game would also get ported over to DS in 2007 and 2008. From 2009 to 2013, Godzilla would get a few games that released on iOS and Android, with games like Godzilla Crisis Defense, Godzilla Strike Zone, and Godzilla Smash 3. Then we got to get to a big game that a lot of video game collectors know about, that is ridiculously expensive online, being Godzilla 2015. For both PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, with multiple fighters, and even different variations of Godzilla from over the years.
Godzilla is approaching the generator. The generator is losing power. Godzilla is approaching the generator! The generator is losing power!
I remember when this game came out, I had wanted to get it, but I guess I got kind of sucked into, the bad reviews that it kind of got, but like I've learned over the years, there's no bad games, just bad players. Godzilla would get a game to help try to get people hyped for Shin Godzilla, the first Toho Godzilla in a while, at the time in 2016 for PlayStation VR. during 2021, there were quite a few games that were released on iOS and Android, like Run, Godzilla, Godzilla Destruction, and Godzilla Battle Lines. Godzilla would appear in a game called Gigabash, released on Windows, PS4, and PS5 on August 5th, 2022, and August 4th, 2023, would get released on Switch, Xbox One, Series X, and Series S. The game would include Godzilla, the Dino Megazord, Ultraman. Some of the things that were influenced by have been on the WWE license, King of Monsters, Rampage, Gundam vs. Weather Monsters, and Power Stone also influenced the team who created the game. This was a long one. See you next time.